The Dr. Ray Podcast is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio. Here's today's monologue with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
What is criticism? Much of the time, criticism is not you are doing something morally wrong. Criticism is you are not doing it the way I would do it. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong in your approach as I see it. Why would you buy a car like that? You mow your lawn when? No, why would you mow it then? Criticism, I would venture to say the bulk of criticism is I'm going to give you my opinion as to why you're not doing it the right way, which by definition is the way I would do it. Now, conversely, if you give someone your opinion, ask yourself this question. Why am I doing this? It's relatively few people in our lives that we have a close enough relationship with that they truly welcome our opinions across a wide range. Relatively few, a handful. Most people in your life want your opinion if they ask for it. You've heard the phrase, if I want your opinion, I'll give it. I've seen a lot of relationships disrupted because opinions have been given that were not asked for. Furthermore, the opinions were given much more than once, even though the signals received were, don't give me your opinion, I don't want to hear it. Maybe not out loud, but little vibe. It's delicate, bordering on dangerous, to give someone an unasked for opinion about the way they're doing things. Again, I'm not talking morality here, but even then you have to judge when it is wise or prudent. I'm talking about, I want to give you an opinion about the way you're making a decision about something, whether it's child rearing, whether it's buying a car, whether it's an outfit, whether it's a pair of shoes, whatever it might be. Some of us are more inclined to give opinions than others, and I think it's a straightforward connection that if you give too many opinions, people retreat. Even if you're right, even if you have more knowledge about something than they do, if you give an opinion when it isn't asked for, you run the risk of telling something somebody doesn't want to hear, or even if they think you may have a good point, after a while, they don't want to hear too many opinions. I've seen so many relationships break up, especially between generations. Parent to adult child, grandparent to son-in-law. Break, or at least come to friction, because the opinions were not asked for. My son called me about a year ago, and he said, Dad, can I ask you a question? Now, first of all, when you're a parent and you hear something like that, most of the time you're excited, except when it's about money. If it's, Dad, can I ask you a question? How much money can you give me? I said, Andrew, is this about Rosie? Now, Rosie was a 3-year-old grandchild at that time. He said, yeah, it is. I said, Andrew, you want my opinion? You're asking me for my opinion? Yeah, Dad, I really want to know how you'd handle this. Wait a minute. Okay, all right, just a second. Now, I emailed him something. It was a form that my attorney put together, giving me permission, after he signed it, to give my opinion. Because the danger is sometimes even when people ask for your opinion, after you give it, they don't want to hear it. That's not the opinion they wanted. So I gave him my opinion. He said, thank you. And I hung up, and I went and cried. He asked my opinion. Actually, what I did say is, well, Andrew, I deal with that in one of my books. And get the book. Now, I only charged him half because he is my son. I want to make a whole lot of money off of my son, you know. Or I Xeroxed the pages. Oh, am I old? Xeroxed. I copied the pages that were relevant to what he asked. Dr. Ray, we should be able to guide people. Yes, if they're open to being guided. Well, how do you know that? Well, most of the time you can pick up the cues, especially in a relationship that's relatively everyday, somebody you see a fair amount. You can pick up the cues. I've seen many people struggle in the relationship because they didn't pick up the cues. And then, you know what happens? They say something that they think is a benign opinion, and the other person explodes. And they're left wondering, what kind of reaction is that for what I said? I didn't say anything that bad. I didn't say anything that threatening. Why would they erupt like that? Because we'd given too many opinions prior to that. So ask yourself this question. Is my opinion wanted? That is it asked for? Is it something that would help this person? Or is it something that is simply, I do it differently? Is it a moral issue? If it's a moral issue, then you might be more obliged to say some things. But the majority, perhaps the vast majority, of what we give people our opinions about do not have anything to do with right or wrong. They have to do with, I would do it differently.
More of Dr. Ray's monologues can be found on his website, drray.com. Monologues as well as full-length programs of The Doctor Is In can be heard at AveMariaRadio.net and EWTN.com/radio.